Hey everyone, I'm Stan Mirzayev, CEO and co-founder of Parts Pass. We are revolutionizing the way people search and order parts by giving them an easy way that they can search their parts and giving you name brand quality parts at wholesale pricing.
Welcome back to another episode of Parts Talk. I'm your host, Chris Clark. Many may not be aware Parts Talk is one of the only auto podcasts that takes you beyond the sales department consistently. Others talk about their cars, their look, their style, the prices, and DIY videos from mechanics. So what I try to do is give you a little more exposure of the people who work behind the scenes, which is parts and service. After all, whenever a car leaves the showroom, it will need maintenance. So you can either go back to the dealer or at your local garage, shop, or your own personal mechanic, which a lot of people don't have the privilege to have. Enough of today's talk. Special guest here we have is Stan Mirzayev. Hopefully, I haven't massacred your last name. And so let me give you a brief summary of Stan's background, which I have. So Stan is a serial entrepreneur with over 17 years as an expert automotive and enthusiast. So he's the founder and CEO of Parts Pass, an auto parts app revolutionizing the way people fixes their cars. Stan emigrated to the US from the former Soviet Union with his family at the age of 4 and grew passionate about cars while working with his dad in the family automotive shop. Stan later became a shop owner himself, operator, and before creating a solution to a problem many mechanics face, sourcing parts, Stan founded Parts Detect, a B2B shop management app that allows mechanics to efficiently source parts from suppliers. This year, Stan founded Parts Pass, an auto parts app serving a mission to democratize and revolutionize the experience of finding and buying replacement auto parts for all consumers across the country. We're going to get a little bit into that part of as it relates to, because as you know, I'm in Canada. So will your app be available to us Canadians here? And before you get into it, Stan, this is a really impressive resume. And again, welcome. So what made you come up with this idea?
Yeah, thanks. And that's a great intro. I had zero participation in that. So you came up with that all by yourself. I'm just kidding. Yeah, so the automotive industry to me plays such an important part in my day to day. Like you mentioned, my father was a technician himself, and slowly but surely I took over the family business. And ever since I started, I just can't separate myself from it. I've tried different industries as well, went to school, but the automotive industry really always pulled me back in. And going through the day to day of the service industry, working with mechanics and working with customers, the hardest part that I found outside of dealing with employees and with customers was sourcing replacement parts. And I started calculating the amount of time that it takes me on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, monthly and annually. And I started multiplying that by the number of dollar amounts. So I quickly realized that there was a huge problem that I face on a daily basis, and which translated to a lot of money that was being misspent.
Yes, definitely. But let me ask you the very tough questions. As you know, we have to try to emphasize a lot of the things that you are doing, and for our viewers and listeners to understand exactly the dynamics behind this industry. How different are you from a rockauto.com that is already out there and has established themselves?
Yeah, so what you mentioned earlier is I started a B2B platform called Parts Detect. And now, from the service side of things, when I'm working with my employees and working with customers, finding the right part at the right price is the most important thing. And it just took me too long to find the part. I would call the local AutoZone, Napa, CarQuest, O'Reilly, and this took a lot of time. So we created Parts Detect that instantly, within seconds, finds you the right part at the right price, meaning that we go into their inventory and see who has that part, how much they have it for, and you can place an order directly from the app and have it delivered. Now, once we found success there, I started really focusing on the do-it-yourself industry, right? The general people that turn wrenches in their garage, or the person that's doing an oil change. And I've started looking into these stores, these brick and mortar stores, the local part houses, and watching how customers deal with the counter representatives. It was really a light bulb went off. So I saw an opportunity there. You have to really know what you're talking about, right? You have to talk shop lingo. So I saw an opportunity there by creating an easier way for people to search for parts instantly. So when we're talking about the user experience, platform like Amazon or Rock Auto, their user experience is just not there because you have to go through a lot of sequences, right? You have to go into all these year, make, model, engine size. You have to know the part that you're looking for. So we took it one step further with Parts Pass that you mentioned that we've been working on since earlier this year. And the cool thing about Parts Pass is that you can take a photo of the car, and we have artificial intelligence that will recognize that make and model of the vehicle. And then you enter a part that you need, for example, an oil filter or radiator, and then we'll provide you those search results. And we are so competitively priced on all of our name brand parts that we really make a dent in the industry. We're passing along those savings on to the consumer because we have such a low overhead, right? We have 7 different distribution centers throughout the country, and we have over 1.5 million SKUs in stock.
Okay, that's an excellent answer because I mean, to the ordinary Joe who just wants a part based on the analysis and the diagnostic that his mechanic gave to him, then your app will definitely make it far much easier to just go in and select that particular item, have it delivered to either himself or to the mechanic who is working on that car. So that's basically what you're saying.
Correct. So there's do it yourselfers, people that do it yourself, or do it for me, right? So they'll do it for me people, they'll have it diagnosed or they know the problem, but they don't want to really focus on replacing it. So they'll buy the part directly from Parts Pass, and they'll be able to take it to their local repair shop and have that mechanic install it for them. So that way they know that they're getting the best price on that part, and they're getting a quality name brand part like AC Delco, Denso, and a lot of other name brands.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned earlier, I'm here in Canada. Will you be able to be available to us here, north of the border?
Sooner than later, absolutely. So we're really focusing on making a footprint in the US, and then we're going to branch out into Canada, into Hawaii, Puerto Rico as well.
That's great. That's definitely great. One of the things I do is I reiterate the fact over and over that cars are becoming more expensive. So which people fail to realize that there's a 5% to 20% increase every year due to the cost of production, labor, raw materials, logistics, etc. So people tend to want to keep their cars longer in today's atmosphere. So I think you are positioned to really capitalize on this growing market, which is it's in an embryonic state right now, so to speak, because the pandemic showed us exactly what will happen exactly if you can't afford, those high interest rates and inflation getting out of hand. The more sound and the more oiled machine in terms of the dealerships that are out there in the garages, they capitalized because people realize that, look, I need this car to get around. I can't afford a new one. It is essential for us to have those avenues that are available to us. And you have certainly paved the way in that where the technology is concerned. Personally, I thought of something like this similarly years ago. But at the time, I was living in Jamaica. I'm a Jamaican by birth. Well, you probably know that by my deep accent. So
I thought that was just a Canadian accent. Just kidding.
but not having the information at the time, getting it done was an issue. The technology wasn't ideal.
Right.
But now we have places like Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer, and all those others who have the creators to build basically anything for us. And you have certainly demonstrated that. So I say thank you and congrats in moving our side of the business forward. As you once know, as you drive the car off the lot, the salesman is done. We basically are your friends now, the other side of the coin, because dealerships who don't look at, say, for instance, something that is called the absorption rate, which is parts and service, running the business, and selling a car is just straight profit, right? So how would you demonstrate that your app can basically ease the mind of everybody else out there who wants to keep their car longer?
Yeah. So I'm going to unpack that a little bit. So like you said, there's a lot of people now that are holding on to their vehicles a lot longer than they once did, right? So the average vehicle on the road, I believe, is 12 years old and
Yes.
has 135,000 miles on it. And people are holding on to that, which means that they're really servicing their cars a lot more. And then you have a little bit of, the EVs of the world that are coming out slowly and surely, but there's a lot of restrictions there as well and a lot of moving parts. And it's very expensive to maintain those batteries. But at the same time, I like to say that we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? So we didn't reinvent the wheel of software. We're in a place, thankfully, that software has been around for quite some time, but it's still fairly new. So there's a lot of libraries for us to take advantage of. So when I saw an opportunity, when we started Parts to Tech, which was about 6 years ago, the problem that I faced was the amount of time. So at that point, we had libraries that we can really bring together. And my team does an incredible job, which is how we found success early on. They keep their head down. They work really hard. They're all passionate about solving problems, especially the automotive industry with software. And that's what we do really well here. And what the pandemic showed us is that there's a supply chain issue. Yeah. And what separates us from a lot of these other brick and mortar suppliers is that most of our parts are not sourced from China, if not all of them. We get a lot of our parts from Japan and from the European nations. A lot of our inventory is directly connected through those ports, so we have a better opportunity to bring value and to bring inventory to our end users. So all in all, in a nutshell, we have an opportunity to grow and really adapt to the ongoing moving industry, specifically within the automotive industry. So we've launched actually just a few weeks ago, and we've had quite a bit of downloads and user engagement already so far. So we've been monitoring those, and it's really feels good to see that people are returning to the app and at the same time sharing it through social media.
Yeah, definitely. What I've noticed so far, especially I've spoke about it on my podcast and my YouTube channel, is that there is a shortage of mechanics going around. And more of the experienced mechanics are going into owning their own business, which is shops, going into mobile shops itself, which is also increasing. So the advantage their app will give to those who wants to venture into that system will definitely be a plus for them. As we close, how can people get in touch with you?
With me directly, you can go on the Parts Pass website, which is www.partspass.app, and then scroll to the bottom and say hello that way. Sign up to our newsletter. I see all the emails that come in through there. At the same time, you can find me on social media, on Instagram at Stan_founder, and on LinkedIn as well. So Stan Mirzayev.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Are there any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think just being a part of the automotive industry, I mean, we're all a brotherhood and a sisterhood in the same way, shape, or form, right? So the cool thing is that no matter where you come from, as long as you're in the auto industry, you can talk shop, whether it's experiences that you've had with clients, customers, or with your employees, or even the counter guys on the other end. Sometimes it's frustrating, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. So I encourage everyone to continue to roll up your sleeves and get to work. And don't forget, my mantra is leave your emotions at the door, because this can get a little frustrating. But remember, you're here in the service industry to give back, especially when people are at their hardest times. Keep in mind that this is the biggest investment most people make outside of buying a house. So yes, we have an opportunity here to really impact people every single day.
Yeah, definitely. So Stan, thank you for joining me. I want everyone to please leave their comments below. I would really appreciate it. Remember to grab a copy of my ebook, The Parts Manager Guide, and hit that like button on your way out. So our special guest, Stan Mirzayev. Stan, please, with all due respect, pronounce your last name.
Yeah, Mirzayev.
Mirzayev. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.